Thank you everybody for coming. My name is Kyle Zagrodzky. I'm the president and founder of Go Figure Software. We've been in business for about 13 years, served thousands of customers in 51 different countries, and we're probably one of the top 3 or 4 club management softwares in this industry. Club management software and code writing is not my passion. Computers aren't even my passion. I don't even really like them that much. But they are a necessary tool, and being the entrepreneur guy that I am, started the company based upon a need many years ago. Originally, I was a club owner, like many of you, and a lot of the things that we did, I didn't have much money when I started out. This was in my 20s, and we owned, my wife and I owned 9 clubs, and we did a lot of things to get us members, and we were taught a lot of things from the industry, shows and things just like that you guys are coming through, but we had a lot more success than many other people, a lot of the common things that you'll hear about. And one of the things that probably brought you to the show was how do you get 76 referrals in 30 minutes? And I'm going to tell you that at the very end. It's a cool trick. It's something that I came up with just on the spot after my staff had come to me and said that there was nothing else they could do to get referrals out of employees. And it came to me, we threw it together, put it together in 15 minutes, and then launched it, and it worked great. Since then, it's been implemented in hundreds of clubs, and it works great every time. I haven't heard anybody get 76 referrals yet, but the least amount of referrals I've ever heard anybody getting in 15 minutes was like 23. So it works almost every time, and it's almost free. Doesn't cost you anything. So I know a little bit about the club industry. My wife and I in our clubs, we had almost 100% closing average when somebody would come in a club. Our philosophy was that when people came to your business, they had some need that they were trying to serve, and if they left the club without joining, they only left for one reason, and that's because they didn't feel that you could satisfy their need. For the most part, the types of people we attracted were a deconditioned market, which should be the market that we're all after, frankly, because that's the biggest market out there available to us. And one of the things that I read a statistic one time that never left me, which was if somebody is obese, which is not as overweight as you think it would be, they'll live an average of 7 years shorter than people that aren't. And that statistic disturbed me because that's 7 years off of the end of your life, and it's the time where you really want to be evaluating your life and enjoying grandkids, and your grandkids enjoying you, and your children still around and talk to, and you're just chopping 7 years off the end of it. I always felt was very disturbing. And so for the attitude we had when somebody came in to join, especially someone who's deconditioned, was that if they didn't join, usually a person who's deconditioned, they're coming to your business as a last resort. They're not coming to you because everything else has failed for them. For someone who's deconditioned to come into a gym is a very big deal. And if you let them leave without joining, you've done a tremendous disservice. Chances are they're not going to go shop a bunch of other gyms. And it was a very uncomfortable situation for them to come in. So respecting that, understanding what it means for that person if they don't join, I think is the genesis to a good sales presentation, because Tom Hopkins, a famous sales trainer, he was kind of the ilk of Zig Ziglar, same kind of time frame, was once cornered in an elevator, and somebody asked him, okay, look Tom, you're a great salesman, everybody thinks you're awesome, you got all these tricks, what is the one thing that you can tell me that will help me to be a great salesperson? And he says, you've got to love the product you're selling. And if you don't love that, then go find a different industry to work in. And I think one of the things that we could do to love the product we're selling is to understand the outcome of if you don't use our product, okay? And so from that perspective is the perspective I approach this industry and the way I ran my clubs. I always pretended I had a competitor right across the street, whether I had one or not. I always pretended the competitor came up with better ideas than I did. And so it was this kind of mindset of over-servicing people, which I think the industry, and I'm not unique to that, what the industry actually does now is we're really good at over-servicing. So let's talk a little bit about that in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about the club industry, because I've been reading some statistics lately that don't make me really happy about things, and I think that we sense it all, but we're not really thinking about it. And this is not a doom and gloom, and I'm going to tell you guys how to deal with this, and doom and gloom is not how I think about things. I always live in the future. If anybody ever does that, I'm always thinking about 2 or 3 years down the road. I always think of something I want to achieve, and then I just kind of backfill everything to make it happen. It's a different mindset. Only 12% of Americans at any given time work out at a gym, and that's been like that for about the past 20 years, really, since these statistics been tracked, 20, 25 years. There's only one event that really caused that number to jump from about 12 to 13%, and that was actually the Curves franchise. Because of the market they went for, it was a different market, but it really only increased about 13%, and then it sort of waxes and wanes between 12 and 13% now. And that's a little bit depressing. Healthcare costs are almost increasing at twice the rate of inflation. Obesity is on the rise. Heart disease, cancer rates, and diabetes are still rising. And our gyms are solutions to a lot of these problems. Just at my company alone, 10% of my staff of different ages have contracted cancer in the past 3 to 5 years. And we work from home now, so it's not in the water. They're all alive, but it's disturbing to me because it tells me there's something going on. And the thing that kind of freaks me out a little bit is that it's our industry has a lot of the preventative, holistic solutions to this problem. We continue to innovate. I mean, I think of a gym that I walked into 10, 12 years ago is substantially different than the gyms we see today. The types of equipment that are available, the type of systems, the follow-up, everything we could do to retain, the quality of the presentations, the staff looks better. I mean, everybody's got a uniform. I mean, what gym have you gone into where you had a schleppy looking staff and it was dirty and smelled bad? Those just almost don't exist anymore. And so but that did exist 15 years ago. And so we've gone through this wholesale change, but we don't really see that our bottom line is really increasing. We still continue to see the same type of people that fit that 12% year after year. The 88% of Americans that don't work out represent the market that we really need to be focusing on. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this, because I could teach you about how to prospect and get referrals and all that kind of cool stuff, which I will get to, but there's a few things we need to understand fundamentally about how our industry needs to present itself. And so I want to talk about a few things here. First of all, does anybody know who John Paul Jones is? You know him, you just don't realize you know him. He was an American. Raise your hand if you know the guy. All right, good. He was actually from Ireland, I believe, and he became a sailor in the American Army in the Revolutionary War. And he was the guy that came up against one of the most powerful, feared British vessels on the seas, and they got in a battle, and his ship was sinking. And the British were taunting him, okay, you ready to surrender? And all this kind of stuff going on. And he was the guy that says, we have not yet begun to fight, turned his ship, rammed it into the frigate. All of his people jumped on there with hand-to-hand combat, beat them up, took over their ship, and brought the ship back to America. I like that story. Not only is it just tremendous bravery on the open seas, you're going to die if you don't surrender out there, and a very tough-minded individual. And there's something about him that I want to kind of pull together in just a moment. Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx. Does anybody know why he's got such a cool story over and above everybody else? A lot of us have heard this story. He actually wrote a paper about the Federal Express concept in college, got a C on the paper, thought the idea was so good, went and started this company, raised some money, and got to the point where he had like $12,000 left and payroll was due the next day, and it was like $100,000. Got on a plane, flew to Vegas, gambled, won all the money he needed for payroll, came back and was able to keep the company going. Another personal situation I have here, and I don't by any means clump me in the same category as John Paul Jones or Fred Smith, but I had a very angry member one time, and I want you to try to think about what are the three things that these three stories actually have in common. I had a member that was actually so angry, she had that kind of insane look in her face one time. And we hadn't done anything wrong. I mean, I was evaluating the situation. I know, she's kind of freaking me out. Go away. And it was uncomfortable, and she was insulting me, insulting our club, and it was just like the thing you never want to have happen. I mean, this woman had blown a gasket, and I don't know, somebody kicked her dog or what happened, but she was taking it out on me, my staff, right in front of all my members. So we asked her to step outside. Hey, come on, Dorothy, let's step outside and chat about this. And just asking her to step outside just escalated, like, who do you think you are to ask me to do anything? And it was just probably one of the most confrontational, uncomfortable situations I'd been in my life. Finally, I got her to step outside, and nothing I could say or do or promise. I mean, we were bend over backwards customer service people, and it was just, I was flummoxed. And I'm looking at this person, and I remembered one thing my dad said to me when I was like 15 years old. He says, son, when people are angry, it's because of one reason only. It's because they're scared. And so I remembered that, and I thought, what, this woman's afraid of something. Right now, she's probably afraid of looking like a fool because I've addressed every one of her issues, and she's not making any sense. So I just stopped, and I walked right up to her, and I gave her a hug. I thought there was a good chance, high chance that I was going to get decked. And she just broke down and started crying, and we became friends after that, and that was it. There's one common thread between John Paul Jones, Fred Smith, and the way I dealt with this situation, is that each one of them was a unique way to solve a problem. Okay, non-standard problem solving. And I respect that a lot. I mean, anybody who come up with a new way of dealing with a common situation is you're not always going to win, but I think it's when we deal with our own fear of the unknown outcome. I mean, seriously, when that woman, she could have really probably knocked out a tooth. She wasn't a weak woman. And obviously what I'm going to do if a woman's hitting me, in front of my business, this is going to be awesome. I figured right there, but it's going to mean bad things for me. But the reason why I bring up these three stories is because A, they're inspirational, but B, they help us to understand that there are different ways to think about problems that we face. And so I want to talk about this. Just who do we think we are? Okay? What does the untapped 88% want? They want fitness? Sure, but most aren't willing to do what it needs to take. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to make the effort. We know who these people are. They want weight loss? Of course, everybody wants weight loss, but no one wants to make lifestyle changes. And the next one is better health. Yes, everybody wants better health, but many have been trained to take medication. Okay, we're like one of the most overly medicated societies on the planet. And so this is the mindset, mostly. I'm not saying everybody, so when I say that I'm making big generalizations, and I know this isn't always the case. So when I mean 88%, I'm talking about 75% of the 88%. That's what their want. But how do you get that? How do you attract a segment that has, for most part, rejected what we offer? Right now, health clubs are all just duking it out. It's a mosh pit for that 12%. It's how do I increase my sales? How do I prospect? How do I get more prospects? How do I keep my members? Retention is the big key word now. You've got to do all these things, and I could talk about each one of these things in minute detail up here on stage. But you have to understand this, and this is the epiphany I had recently, this past summer, is that we're not a gym. What we do is we offer a vision to people, a vision of what they want. And I thought about this. What does a gym actually accomplish for people? Well, it could add 20 yards to their golf swing. You could increase your libido without drugs. HGH increases when you work out, and people they keep going and taking the Viagra and whatever. Build a titanium immune system. Does your immune system, can you increase immune system by the services and the products that you sell in your club? Absolutely, and there's data to prove that. You could actually do things to prevent cancer. There's many holistic approaches. And the thing that made me actually think about this, the untouchable 88. These are the things that they want, okay? I had a neck injury when I was in my early 20s, and really just changed the course of the way I thought I was going to live my life. And I went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor caused me pain. It really did. It scared the crud out of me. And so I didn't go again for years, and I just managed to, through yoga and stretching and whatever, managed to, deal with the issue I had with my neck. Until about a year ago, I heard a radio station, and the radio station was talking about all these things like, improving your immune system and fighting cancer and all these things, and buried within it was this chiropractor that they were promoting. And I was like, wow, that kind of sounds like an approach to a chiropractor that I would be willing to investigate, because they seem to understand the whole approach to taking care of the human body. So I went to go start seeing this chiropractor. And so what does a chiropractor do? I mean, fundamentally what a chiropractor does is you've got a spine, and there's nerves coming out from your vertebrae. And when if these are two vertebrae and they're coming together and they do this number, you pinch a nerve, it's like pinching a hose, and whatever organ that nerve is connected to, it's getting less of a signal from your brain and doesn't function as well. And so they go and they try to straighten out your spine, to make sure that you don't have these nerve pinchings called subluxations, and when you're nervous, your back is straight, and you feel better, and other things start functioning better. And there's all kinds of amazing success stories with chiropractors. But this chiropractor teaches you that. I know all this because I've had an education from my chiropractor. And she continues all these supplementations, how to eat, a big nutrition thing, and it's always dressed up with, one of these types of things and more. And every time I go in there, I'm constantly being educated on nutritional supplements and eating and take this type of vitamin and that, what it does for me. And it occurred to me that she's not marketing herself as a chiropractor, she's marketing herself as a solution to a problem. And that's what got me in there after being terrified of going to a chiropractor for almost 20 years. Her marketing approach to addressing solutions is what actually pulled me in. As gym owners, there's almost nothing that she tells me that I don't already know or had a pretty good idea of just by being a function of being in this industry for so long. I mean, does anybody know the benefits of vitamin D? Okay, benefits of vitamin D is you take more than 6,000 units of vitamin D a day and your chances of getting breast cancer or any kind of cancer drop down precipitously. Okay, if you don't know the benefits of eating kale and spinach and these kind of things, these nutritional supplemental things, plus an improved cardiovascular system and strength. If I have a better strength, core strength, I'm going to have a less chance of getting injured in a car accident. If I fall downstairs, I'm going to have less chance of breaking a bone because I'm going to have stronger strength and I'll be able to catch myself. We're providing solutions. And so what I want to submit to you is that you're not a gym, your solutions, because people have already, when people walk to your gym, what is the very first people, actually you guys probably answer this, I didn't even think of this. When people call your gym, what's the first thing they ask you about your gym? Anybody want to take a guess? Excuse me? How much do you cost? You know why? Because you're all the same. They don't need to come in there, they want to know how much you are. Okay? When they come in there, when I go into a gym, the only thing I really care about is how close is it and does it smell and is it clean? Because I'm going to go work out. That's a gym. But if I have someone who specializes in any one of these things, they would be differentiated in my mind. And so I submit to you that you are solutions and you're not a gym, and you'll attract the untouchable 88.